Listen closely, kid. I don't speak just to hear my own voice, so every word, every syllable, burn it into your soul. You're standing there like some shattered mirror, all the pieces of you scattered on the floor. And why? Because they thought they could break you, bend you, twist you into something unrecognizable and leave you to rot. You see, they don't just hurt you for fun. Oh no, that'd be too honest. They convince themselves they're doing you a favor, teaching you a lesson. They wrap their abuse in pretty little lies like, it's for your own good, or you'll thank me one day. But deep down, they know the truth. They're cowards. They project their own fears, failures, and insecurities onto you because facing their own reflection, that's a nightmare they don't have the guts for. And you stood there, didn't you? Took it all like a sponge. Every insult, every slap, every soul-crushing manipulation. You let their words dig trenches into your mind. You let their hands carve scars into your body. Why? Because somewhere in that heart of yours, you thought if you endured enough, they'd stop. They'd see your pain, feel a flicker of guilt, and maybe, just maybe, change. But let me tell you something about people like that. They don't stop. They won't stop. Not until they've bled you dry, turned you into a hollow shell of who you were meant to be. And even then, they'll find a way to blame you for your own ruin. That's the game they play. Blame the victim, justify the abuse, and walk away clean. Here's the truth no one wants to admit. There are no heroes coming to save you, no cavalry riding in to rescue you from the depths. The world doesn't give a damn about your suffering. It never has. And if you sit around waiting for someone to pick up your pieces, you'll stay broken forever. But here's where it gets interesting. Here's where you come in. You're not just some victim in their twisted little play. You're the wild card, the unknown, the variable they didn't account for. They thought they knew you, thought they could predict your every move. But what happens when the punching bag grows a spine? When the abused becomes the avenger? Oh, they'll panic. They'll deny everything, play the victim themselves. It wasn't that bad, they'll say. You're overreacting. But you don't owe them your silence. You don't owe them your forgiveness. And you sure as hell don't owe them your fear. Here's the deal. Pain is a funny thing. It can destroy you, sure. Leave you gasping for air, wishing for an end to it all. But it can also forge you, shape you into something unbreakable. Pain is power when you learn to wield it. And I see it in you. That spark, that potential. You've been through hell, and you're still standing. Maybe not tall, maybe not proud, but you're here. And that means you've already beaten the odds. So, what's next, huh? You gonna let their words keep echoing in your head? Let their actions define your story? Or are you gonna take all that anger, all that hurt, and turn it into fuel. Because that's what they don't want. They don't want you to rise. They don't want you to succeed. Because your success, that's their failure. Your happiness, that's their defeat. I know what you're thinking. It's not that easy, Joker. You don't understand. Oh, but I do. You think I came out of the womb with this painted grin? No, kid. I've been there, lost, broken, betrayed by the very people who were supposed to protect me. I've tasted the bitterness of despair, the suffocating weight of hopelessness. And you know what I learned? The world doesn't care about fairness. Life doesn't play by the rules. But here's the kicker. Once you stop expecting fairness, once you stop waiting for life to hand you a break, that's when you become dangerous. That's when you take the rules, rip them to shreds, and write your own. That's when you stop being a victim and start being a force of nature. They thought their abuse would never have consequences. They thought you'd stay quiet, stay small, stay afraid. Prove them wrong. Show them that every word, every strike, every act of cruelty, they didn't break you. They built you into something stronger, something fiercer, something they'll regret ever underestimating. So get up, pick up those pieces and make them into a weapon. Let your scars be your armor, your pain, your battle cry. And the next time they look at you, let them see the reflection of their own monstrosity staring back. Because you're not just surviving, you're evolving. And they'll never see it coming. Oh, they'll try to silence you. That's their go-to move when their grip starts to slip. They'll throw guilt at you like chains, saying things like, "We're family," or "You're overreacting." They'll rewrite history in their favor, twisting the narrative so they're the victims and you're the villain. That's what abusers do. They manipulate. But let me make one thing clear. Just because they've fooled others doesn't mean they've won. Truth doesn't care about who believes it. Truth is a blade, and it cuts clean through lies when you wield it right. You're not who they said you were. Do you hear me? You're not weak. You're not broken beyond repair. You're not destined to be stuck in their shadow. They painted you with their darkness because they couldn't handle your light. They fed you lies so you'd never dare see your worth. But look at me. Look at me. Your worth isn't up for negotiation. It's not tied to their approval or their acceptance. It's yours, and they can't take it unless you hand it to them. Now let's talk about the fear. Yeah, I see it in your eyes. You're afraid of them, of yourself, of what happens next. But let me tell you something about fear. It's a parasite. It feeds off your doubt, your hesitation. It grows when you shrink. And the only way to kill it is to face it head on. You've been running from their shadows for so long, you've forgotten that you cast your own. They thought they broke you, but they didn't. They only taught you how to endure. And enduring? That's the first step to conquering. Pain is the greatest teacher, but it's also a liar. It whispers that you're alone, that no one understands, that there's no way out. But here's the secret. Pain doesn't get the last word. You do. So what's it gonna be? Are you gonna keep carrying their chains, dragging their weight like some prisoner of their crimes? Or are you gonna drop it? Because the second you do, the second you say, enough, you'll see the truth. You were never bound. They only convinced you to believe you were. Oh, they'll notice the change. Trust me, the moment you stop playing their game, they'll panic. They'll lash out, trying to pull you back into their cycle. They'll say you've changed like it's an insult, like staying the same under their abuse was ever an option. And you'll laugh, not because it's funny, but because you'll finally see how pathetic their power really was. It was never about strength. It was always about control. And once you reclaim that, once you decide to stop living by their rules, they lose everything. But here's the thing. Revenge, it's tempting. Oh, so tempting. You want them to feel what you felt, to suffer as you've suffered. And maybe they deserve it. Hell, they probably do. But vengeance is a cage too. It traps you in their orbit, keeps you tethered to their poison. And you're meant for more than that. You don't get even with people like them. You outgrow them. You rise so far above their reach that their words, their actions, they become nothing more than distant echoes. Let your success be your revenge. Let your happiness be the justice they never saw coming. Because nothing terrifies abusers more than the realization that they didn't destroy you, that you're thriving despite them, that you're free. And freedom, kid, isn't just walking away from them. It's walking toward yourself. It's realizing that the person they tried to suppress, the person they tried to erase, that person is still there, waiting for you to come back. It's not easy. Oh no, it's a war, a battle you fight every day. But let me tell you something. Every scar, every tear, every sleepless night, it's worth it when you stand tall and see yourself for who you truly are. They thought their abuse would never have consequences. They thought they'd walk away unscathed, that you'd carry the burden for both of you. But life has a funny way of evening the scales. You don't need to lift a finger to punish them. Their own guilt, their own emptiness, that'll do the job just fine. People like them always burn themselves out in the end. But you're not firewood for their flames anymore. So take that pain, that anger, that hurt, and build something out of it. Build a version of yourself that doesn't just survive, but thrives. Build a life so full, so unapologetically yours, that their memory becomes nothing but a footnote in your story. And when they look back, when they see what you've become, they'll realize the truth. They didn't win. They never stood a chance. Now go. Not because I said so, not because you owe it to anyone else, but because you owe it to yourself. You've carried their weight long enough. It's time to carry your own strength instead. You're still here? Good. That means you're listening. That means some part of you still believes there's more to your story than what they've written for you. And that's where the power is, kid. In belief. Not in some fairy tale crap. Not in wishing things were different. But in the raw, unshakable belief that you're not done yet. That no matter how deep they've buried you, you can claw your way out. And let me tell you something about digging yourself out of that pit they left you in. It's not pretty. It's not heroic. It's messy, brutal, and exhausting. You'll get dirt under your nails, blood on your hands, and tears in your eyes. You'll want to stop. You'll want to give up, because every step forward feels like dragging a mountain behind you. But that's when you push harder. That's when you show them, and yourself, that they underestimated the wrong person. Do you know what's funny about pain? It sharpens you. It makes you see the world for what it really is. No illusions, no sugarcoating. And once you see the world for what it is, you see people for who they are. The ones who hurt you, they're weak. They wear their power like a mask, trying to hide the fragile, broken things underneath. That's why they hurt others, because they think it'll make them feel whole. But you've seen behind the mask. You've seen the truth. And now you know what they fear the most. Exposure. They fear the day you wake up and realize they were never giants, only shadows cast by your own doubt. They fear the moment you stop seeing yourself through their eyes and start seeing yourself as you really are. Because when you do, their power crumbles. And without power, they're nothing. But let me ask you this, what happens next? What do you do with all that clarity, all that anger, all that truth? Because clarity without action is nothing but wasted potential. Anger without direction is just chaos. And truth without purpose? It's a weapon left to rust. So, what's your purpose, kid? What are you gonna do with everything you've learned? Everything you've endured? You have a choice now. You can let their abuse define you. Let their words echo in your mind until they drown out your own voice. Or you can take every insult, every strike, every ounce of pain they handed you and forge it into something unbreakable. You can turn their cruelty into your strength, their hate into your fuel, their betrayal into your freedom. And don't you dare tell me it's too late. Don't give me that crap about being too damaged, too lost, too far gone. You're here, aren't you? Breathing, standing, listening. That means there's fight left in you. That means there's still a chance to change the ending of this story. But here's the thing about change. It doesn't come cheap. It demands everything you've got, and then some. It asks you to face your demons, confront your fears, and challenge every lie they've ever told you about yourself. It's not about proving them wrong, it's about proving yourself right. It's about becoming the person you were meant to be before they tried to break you. And let me tell you something about becoming that person. It's going to piss them off. Oh, they'll hate it. They'll hate seeing you succeed, seeing you happy, seeing you free. Because your freedom, that's their failure. Your joy, that's their regret. And your strength, that's their nightmare. So let them hate, let them regret, let them drown in the mess they created. You don't need their approval, their apology, or their acceptance. You don't need anything from them anymore. Everything you need is already inside you, waiting for you to unleash it. You've got scars, sure. But scars aren't weaknesses. They're proof you survived. They're reminders of battles fought and lessons learned. Wear them like armor, not chains. Let them remind you of where you've been, not hold you back from where you're going. And where you're going? That's up to you now. Not them, not their lies, not their abuse. You. It's your life, your story, your ending. So write it in blood and fire if you have to, but make damn sure it's yours. Because they thought their abuse would never have consequences. They thought you'd stay broken, stay quiet, stay small. But here you are, standing on the edge of everything they feared. And when you take that step, when you finally claim your power, they'll realize the truth. You were never their victim. You were their reckoning. They'll never admit it, of course. People like that. They'd rather choke on their pride than face the damage they've done. They'll rewrite the narrative, paint themselves as the martyrs, and you as the villain. We did the best we could, they'll say. You were too sensitive, they'll add, with a smug little shrug. But you and I both know the truth, don't we? They didn't just fail you, they tried to destroy you. And now, standing in the ruins of their attempts, you're still here. Think about that for a second. After everything they did, all the times they tried to crush your spirit, you're still breathing. Do you understand what that means? It means they lost. It means their abuse, their lies, their cruelty. It wasn't enough to end you. They thought they could erase you, reduce you to nothing more than a shadow of your potential. But shadows? Oh, shadows grow longer in the dark. And now it's your turn to cast one over them. Here's the irony, kid. They're the fragile ones, not you. You survived everything they threw at you. Every insult, every blow, every manipulation. They hit you with all they had, and you endured. You grew. You learned. And now, you're standing at the crossroads of your life, ready to decide what comes next. Meanwhile, they're stuck in their own miserable loop, too blind to see the prison they've built for themselves. Do you think they're happy? People like them can't be. Happiness requires honesty. Honesty with yourself and with others. And they've spent their lives running from the truth. They hurt you because it was easier than facing their own failures. They abused you because controlling someone else made them feel less powerless. But deep down, they're empty, hollow. No amount of pain they inflict can fill that void. And you're the proof of their failure. Every step you take, every moment you live on your own terms, is a reminder that they couldn't break you, and that terrifies them. They'll never say it out loud, but they're scared of you, scared of your strength, your resilience, your potential, scared of the person you're becoming, the person they tried so hard to bury. So what do you do with that fear? Do you let it fuel your anger, your need for revenge? Or do you let it propel you towards something greater? Because trust me, vengeance is a shallow victory. It feels good in the moment. Oh, it feels damn good, but it won't fill the hole they left inside you. Only you can do that. You fill it by choosing yourself, by building a life so rich, so full, so unapologetically yours that their memory fades into irrelevance. You fill it by surrounding yourself with people who see your worth, who celebrate your strength, who don't need to tear you down to feel tall. You fill it by becoming everything they said you couldn't be. But here's the hard part, the part no one likes to talk about. Healing doesn't mean forgetting. You'll carry those scars forever. Some days they'll sting. Some nights they'll throb like old wounds in cold weather. And that's okay. Scars don't mean you're weak. They mean you fought and survived. They're part of your story, but they're not the whole story. The whole story? That's up to you now. You get to write it. Every word, every chapter. And let me tell you something about stories. The best ones are born from pain. The greatest heroes are forged in fire. You've been through hell, kid, and you came out alive. That makes you dangerous. That makes you unstoppable. So don't let them define you. Don't let their abuse, their lies, their small, pathetic view of the world dictate who you are or who you can become. You're more than their victim. You're more than their mistakes. You're a force of nature, a storm they never saw coming. And when you finally rise, when you take everything they threw at you and turn it into something beautiful, something powerful, they'll be left with nothing. Just the emptiness of their own choices, the weight of their own regrets. They thought their abuse would never have consequences. They thought you'd be their scapegoat forever. But now, standing here, you've made one thing crystal clear. You're not their victim. You're their reckoning. Reckoning, huh? That word, it's heavy, isn't it? It's not just about getting even or making them feel what they made you feel. No, a reckoning is deeper than that. It's about balance. It's about truth catching up to lies, about consequences finally meeting actions. And you, my friend, are the walking, breathing embodiment of that reckoning. They thought they had you pegged. They thought you'd spend your whole life crawling in the dirt they buried you in. But the funny thing about people like them, they forget one crucial detail. The dirt they used to bury you was the same soil you needed to grow. Every insult, every betrayal, every ounce of pain, they weren't just tools of destruction. They were the seeds of your transformation. And transformation, that's where the real power is. Not in getting revenge, not in proving them wrong, but in proving yourself right, in becoming the person you were meant to be all along, a person they can't touch, can't control, can't define. They tried to write your story for you, but the pen was always in your hand. You just didn't know it yet. Now you do. Now you see the truth. You see them for what they are, fragile, fearful, and hollow. And you see yourself for what you are, strong, resilient, and unstoppable. They thought their abuse would break you, but all it did was sharpen you. They thought their lies would define you, but all they did was push you closer to the truth. But here's the catch. Knowing the truth isn't enough. Truth without action, it's just another burden to carry. You have to live that truth. You have to own it, embody it, let it guide every step you take. And that's the hardest part. Because living your truth means leaving behind the lies. It means walking away from the comfort of their chains, the familiarity of their control. It means stepping into the unknown, into a world where you have to decide who you are and what you stand for. It's terrifying, isn't it? The idea of being free. The idea of not just surviving, but thriving. Because for so long they convinced you that survival was all you deserved. They made you believe that freedom was dangerous, that independence was selfish, that happiness was a luxury you couldn't afford. But let me tell you something. Every single one of those beliefs is a lie. And you're done living their lies. Freedom isn't dangerous. It's necessary. Independence isn't selfish. It's empowering. And happiness isn't a luxury. It's your birthright. It's the one thing they could never truly take from you, no matter how hard they tried. And now it's time to claim it. But don't get me wrong. Freedom comes with a price. It's not about escaping their chains. It's about breaking them. It's about facing the parts of yourself they tried to destroy. The fear, the anger, the self-doubt. They're not just going to disappear. You have to confront them, wrestle with them, and ultimately make peace with them. Because those parts of you, they're not weaknesses. They're proof of your strength. They're reminders of what you've overcome. And once you've made peace with yourself, once you've reclaimed your power, there's no going back. You'll see the world through new eyes. You'll see opportunities where there used to be obstacles. You'll see possibilities where there used to be limits. And you'll see yourself for what you truly are. Unbreakable. Unbreakable. That's a word they'll never understand. Because people like them, they live their lives in fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of their own insignificance. That's why they hurt others. That's why they tried to hurt you. Because your strength, your resilience, your potential, it scared them. It reminded them of everything they'll never be. So let them live in their fear. Let them wallow in their regret. That's not your concern anymore. Your focus is forward. Your path is clear. And every step you take on that path is a step away from their shadow, away from their lies, away from their abuse. Because they thought their abuse would never have consequences. They thought they'd walk away unscathed while you carried the weight of their sins. But the truth is, the only thing they succeeded in was waking you up. Waking you up to your power, your worth, your potential. And now, you're their consequence. Not through revenge, not through hate, but through the simple, undeniable fact of your existence. You're proof that they didn't win. Proof that they never will. So stand tall, walk forward, and never look back. Your story isn't over, kid. It's just beginning. And this time, you're the one writing it. They'll feel it. You know, every choice you make from here on out, every victory you claim, every smile they swore you'd never wear again, it'll hit them like a bullet. Not because you're trying to hurt them, no, but because your very existence is a mirror, reflecting the truth they've been running from their entire lives. They thought they could erase you, but here you are, larger than life, walking proof that they were wrong. And that's the part that will eat at them the most. Not your anger, not your defiance, but your success. The fact that you didn't just survive, you thrived. You built a life out of the ashes they left behind. You turned their abuse into fuel, their lies into lessons, their betrayal into strength. It's funny, isn't it? The very things they thought would destroy you became the foundation of your power. It's almost poetic, like the universe was playing a cruel joke on them, making their cruelty the very thing that would liberate you. And you're the punchline they never saw coming. But don't get too comfortable, kid. The road ahead, it's not going to be easy. Freedom doesn't come with a map. There's no guidebook for rebuilding a life they tried so hard to tear apart. You'll stumble. You'll fall. You'll have days when the weight of it all feels unbearable. And that's okay. Falling doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're moving. It means you're trying. And as long as you keep getting back up, they can never claim victory over you. Here's the thing about pain. It doesn't just go away. It lingers like a shadow following you wherever you go. But shadows, they're only as powerful as you let them be. They can't touch you unless you step into their darkness. So, learn to live with it. Learn to carry it without letting it define you. Because pain isn't your enemy, it's your teacher. It's the reminder that you've lived, that you've felt, that you've survived. And survival? That's just the beginning. Now, it's time to live. Truly live. Not for them, not in spite of them, but for yourself. For the person they tried to bury but couldn't. For the dreams they tried to kill but couldn't touch. For the life you've always deserved but were too afraid to claim. Claim it now. Take every step they said you couldn't. Climb every mountain they swore was too high. Chase every dream they laughed at. And when you reach the top, when you look down at everything you've overcome, don't forget to smile. Not for them, but for yourself. Because you'll know, deep down, that you earned it. That every scar, every tear, every sleepless night was worth it. And when they see you at the top, when they see the life you've built, the strength you've found, the happiness you've created, they'll finally understand the consequences of their actions. They'll finally see that their abuse wasn't the end of your story. It was just the prologue. Because people like them, they don't get happy endings. They live in the shadows of their own mistakes, haunted by the echoes of their own cruelty. And you're their ghost. Every success, every smile, every moment of peace you find, it's a reminder of the life they could have had if they'd chosen differently. But don't waste your time thinking about them. They're not worth it. Focus on yourself, on your growth, on your freedom. Because this life, it's yours now. No one else gets to dictate how you live it, least of all them. So take that first step, and then another, and another. Build the life they said you couldn't. Become the person they said you'd never be. Not to prove them wrong, but to prove yourself right. Because you deserve it, kid. You've earned it. And the best part? You're just getting started. They thought their abuse would never have consequences. But you're the living, breathing proof that they were wrong. You're not just their consequence. You're their reckoning. You're the storm they never saw coming. And now, it's your time to rise.